Hello and welcome to Simply Technical. We're back again. Hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving break, or just Thanksgiving. Maybe not a break for you. Some people, first responders and stuff, might not have gotten off. But I'm one of your hosts, Evan. Keaton's there on the other end. And we brought Dylan, the Viking MMA. Follow him on Twitter.
Hey.
And other social medias. I don't know if you have Facebook too, I guess.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the Viking MMA, Dylan the Viking on Twitter, and yeah.
Okay. So obviously we're going to talk about MMA, and Dylan is a local MMA fighter here in Oklahoma City. I say Oklahoma City. Your next fight is in Ardmore?
Yeah, Rage in the Cage is bringing their crew out to Ardmore.
Okay.
They're doing a show out there.
Awesome. And what date is that? That is the
January 18th.
January 18th.
Oh, wow. So it's pretty soon.
Yeah,
Sure.
right after the holidays. Perfect time.
Hey.
Does the prep work? Is that tough during the holidays?
Well,
or?
I fight at heavyweight, so it works.
Yeah, so it's
me.
okay. It doesn't matter.
I got some extra weight.
Hey, that's perfect. I've always had it, so. But we're glad to have you here. And maybe we'll be getting some tickets soon for us. Maybe bring some other fans out.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Ardmore's a little ways, but we'll make the trip.
Not too far.
No, it's not bad. But so you grew up here in Mustang.
Yes.
With me, or I guess I was with you. But so when did you start? I guess you started wrestling. You probably didn't start MMA at a young age.
No, I actually started with Taekwondo whenever I was a little kid.
Okay.
Started with that. My grandpa actually got me into it. Wanted me to be able to defend myself, just like every person.
Every person should be, yeah.
Everyone should be able to defend themselves. Then from there, I went off to boxing whenever I was like 14, 15 years old. I actually boxed with my buddy Alex Carroll. You may know him.
Yeah.
From there, wrestled throughout high school, became a Greco state champion, and then now we're doing MMA.
Okay. So you've kind of done a lot of different aspects of fighting.
Yeah.
I guess all of those really help towards, boxing obviously with striking, wrestling obviously with grappling on the ground. Right. I know those are pretty much different. Grappling and wrestling is very different, but
for MMA, it's everything put together, so it just kind of works.
You've had how many fights now? 4?
4 MMA fights. I've had 2 or 3 boxing fights.
Okay.
I'm undefeated in boxing right now, and then in MMA I'm 3-1.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Looking to be 4-1 January.
Yeah.
18th.
Yeah. We definitely hope so. We definitely want you to be successful and succeed. So what's been the toughest part so far? Obviously, besides getting hit in the face.
Man, that's honestly the easy part for me. The hardest part is really just balancing the work, social life, and then the training life aspect. As an up-and-coming fighter, you don't really make a lot of money for fighting. You don't really get to
celebrity status.
Yeah, you don't start off. You don't get to start off as the Israel Adesanya, the John Jones. You start off as a nobody, and you have to work your way up.
You have to work full time to support yourself.
Work full time, support me and the girlfriend. You gotta, do all kinds of things. You know, just make it work.
Yeah,
Do you make money fighting, even if it's just a tiny bit?
Right now, since I'm an amateur fighter, I don't get paid to fight, but I get paid through my sponsors.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right now, I have about 6 or 7 sponsors on my list.
Cool.
I'm always looking to add more. So.
You want to shout them out? You want to shout out your sponsors now?
Well, I got Stay True Tattoo here in Oklahoma City. They do a lot of my artwork for people.
Yeah.
I also have a couple construction companies, RBK Construction, Robert King Construction, I think is what they called it. Have my coach's construction company, solar power company.
If you gotta look them up, that's fine.
I gotta look at them
that's fine. Robert King, I know who Robert King is, from high school.
But Starry Solar System, RBK Construction, National Fitness, and then Bully Pro Lawn Care is who I have as my sponsors right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And obviously, you do most of that. You have to find sponsors yourself.
I don't have a manager right now.
Yeah.
I do everything.
Well, it makes it cheaper for you probably. Than
Yeah.
It does. You know, starting out, you just don't have that income.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think that's probably the toughest part for, up and coming fighters is, you could be the greatest fighter in the world, but if you can't take care of yourself first,
Right.
then, you're not going to make it very far.
Yeah, aren't there like some pros aren't making a ton
Yeah,
of money,
I know there's people in the UFC that, they can't pay their bills.
Yeah, that's
They
great.
can't.
That blows my mind.
It's growing as a sport. It's getting a lot better,
Mm-hmm.
but until, it just reaches that level of like boxing, NFL, NBA, those type of high-paying performance athletes, it'll just take some time.
Well, I can almost see like a company buying a fighter. I don't know if that is how it goes now, but like a company saying, I want to support you and buy you, and then, I'm the only sponsor, but I pay for your bills or your salary, I guess.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different kind of sponsorship agreements and stuff that are out there.
Okay. I was thinking like as esports,
Yeah.
a person you're
okay.
like a team,
that.
like a team buys you,
Oh,
or
wow. I hadn't thought about it that way.
or I was just saying a company, but
Yeah.
a team buys you and
That
says,
could
"Hey,
work.
we're gonna have." I don't know. I was just thinking of
Yeah, and
the sports that I
like
know.
the idea is to help put you on and in front of.
We want to
large
sponsor
crowd.
you. We believe in you. We're gonna put you forward.
Right.
That's really interesting. I guess it makes sense that it's really tough. To try to make your way up. That's probably the toughest part.
Yeah. It just takes time. More fights you have, more publicity, more
Yeah.
people know your name, the easier it is. Having a big like social media following is pretty, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
So,
like, what's a day in your life, pretty much?
man, Monday morning, wake up, go to work 7 to 3, get off work, instantly go work out at National Fitness.
Yeah.
And then from there, go to Conquest Martial Arts and do some jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
that evening. That would be like a Monday night or a Monday, Tuesday, wake up, go train, and then go to work.
Yeah.
Wednesday I'll be off all week or off all that day. Wake up and just train, 4 or 5 different sessions that day. It's a lot,
Yeah.
but if it's what it takes to get there, it's I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So what does your training look like? So you've got the...
Don't give away your secrets, Dylan. But
Like, what do you mean? Like,
So, I guess, how do you balance strength versus skill-based boxing, jiu-jitsu, or are you just fully into the jiu-jitsu training? And
no, I do. Some days I try to do is have a good balance. I do about 3 to 4 strength training days a week, and then I get 3 to 4 striking days a week, and then 3 to 4 like rolling days or jiu-jitsu or wrestling days. I think having like a good balance of all that kind of lets me stay or get everything better instead of just focusing on boxing full time or like wrestling full time. I can work on everything and just really put it all together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
out of all these fighters that you face so far, do you think you're putting in more time than a lot of them? Because it sounds like you really are. Like, it sounds...
Man, I'm doing my best. I'm doing everything I can.
Well, that's all you can ever hope for.
I know for a fact that, I'm out working a lot of them. I put in the time, I put in the effort. If they match that, then, awesome.
Like, it's good for them, yeah.
But it's hard.
Yeah, no.
And you just have to keep grinding. You just, grind at it every day.
I don't even want to go to the gym 3 times a week. So, that's awesome. Because I look at some of those. One of the guys, like I think one of your first fight, the guy was just like a dad or something.
Yeah, well, he was like in his late 30s. Yeah, he was kind of rough looking, but at that local level, there isn't, everyone starts somewhere.
Yeah, no. I wasn't trying to bash on him, but do you think that you'll go to like Texas or is that your goal? Is that your next step? I guess.
Man, my dream honestly would be go out to Canada, train with like Faraz Sahabi, to one of the top names in MMA. That would be amazing. You know, join like a really high level team. Yeah, that type of thing. But hard to do that. You know, you got to work a full-time job. You know, the upper levels of MMA, those guys, they're all doing that just because they're able to. You know, eventually, you know, the local guys will be able to step up. It just takes time.
Well, I didn't know if like you
How
wanted
does it
to
happen, or you get invited to a training camp?
Yeah, you just, I mean, a lot of times your manager will just, you know, reach out, and then, you know, you can run your training camp out there, or, you know, a lot of those pro fighters, they'll bring the guys to them. Yeah. You know, bring in those high level coaches and just make it work.
Yeah. So that's kind of the next step for you then, I guess, is just keep fighting until you get that recognition.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, well, I was asking about, like, do you want to? Can you fight in other states? Can you go to Texas
I've actually my second fight, I actually went out to Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
And fought. I got invited for like a last minute show to go out there. Was my only loss, but kind of a last minute thing. So
You didn't get to prep really.
yeah, it's okay.
Do you watch any film?
Yeah, I try to watch my sparring whenever I can. Whenever I have someone there to record it. I like to watch my fights, obviously, just because that's where you really see, you know, what you did.
Yeah. I mean, football. We all.
Yeah.
We
We're always watching film.
Do you have a coach to? Is that part of your gym?
Yeah.
Is a coach to?
Yeah. Since I train at a couple different gyms right now, I'm able to just kind of reach out with those coaches and just kind of pick apart what my opponents are going to do.
Okay.
And just kind of go from there.
Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like you have a good base going right now.
Yeah.
You just need to keep on those gyms or keep on those matches. And
well, the good thing about it is I'm only 23 right now. I have tons of time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I have a good job. I've, you know, girlfriend who cares, family that, you know, supports me. So I'm able to just keep grinding, and eventually I'm going to get where I want to be.
Yeah. You just got to keep punching those guys in the face.
Right.
So how does the leveling system in MMA work? We kind of talked about like going up, but you start at X, and what is the next level?
So right now, since I'm only an amateur fighter, I'm not getting paid. Once I feel like once me and my coaches feel like I'm ready to take that next step to become a pro, then I just have to reach out to the Oklahoma Commission and just let them know, hey, I'm a pro now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, I just have to pay for the license. You know, I obviously have to show them that, hey, I fought before. This is my record now. That it's okay that I go pro, and then
Let's make sure you're not gonna go die out there.
yeah, basically, yeah. Just kind of let them know, and then I'll just be a pro, and then sign up for a pro fight with the local or out of state promoters that there are.
Yeah. So at what point do you think you're gonna do that, or do you not know yet?
I have some big plans coming up. Basically, you know, I have this fight. I'm expecting to go pro, you know, hopefully by the end of 2020, 2021, start of 2021.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Some big plans in the work. I'm going to hopefully get a couple belts wrapped around my race pretty soon, and then, you know, look to take that pro spot,
awesome.
you know.
That's cool.
Are there a lot of pros local here, like, that are for you to fight here, so you don't have to travel to LA every?
Yes and no. I mean, there's a lot of guys. You would be really surprised on how big the fight scene here in Oklahoma actually is right now. There's Facebook groups called the Fight House. It has like over 1,000 fighters in it that are just like around this Oklahoma area. It's pretty crazy actually, but so
1,000. That's a lot more than I expected, but
yeah, and I mean, there's more than that. That's just in one of the Facebook groups.
Yeah. Is there? I guess would you fight at the same spots, even though you're considered pro? You would still fight in the same venues?
It depends on the promoter. So basically, what will happen is a promoter would reach out to either me, my manager, or my coach, and be able to just talk to them. Hey, I have a.
We want Dylan to come fight.
Right. I have a guy for Dylan to fight. I think it'd be a great show. Here's the pay. Whenever I am pro, you know, they would offer the pay and then kind of go from there. You know, I'd accept or decline, and it would be a fight.
So when you have a fight set up, like this one coming in January,
Right.
You just go through your normal routine, or do you step up routine?
Usually, I was kind of like in this weird off season while I was letting like my hand heal, some injuries kind of just heal up and whatever. Just I kind of turn it up a little bit. I try to implement a little bit more sparring, kind of create more that live action scenario that it is. Whenever you walk into the cage, it's a fight. My last fight, I kind of made a mistake. I went out there and I just kind of started slow. I got caught early. I was able to recover and finish the fight, but, if I wasn't able to do that, I would have lost. So I just have to kind of start as soon as the ref says, hey, let's go, be able to flip that switch and go from there.
Yeah. So what do you do the week before a fight? Are you no more sparring at that point?
It depends on how I feel. If I'm sore, if I'm a little tired, then I will, just kind of take 2 to 3 days just to rest. I might take that whole week off just to rest. Kind of may just go stretch and go through kind of some flow stuff.
Walk through stuff.
Yeah,
like
exactly. Kind of like football, wrestling practice. Just kind of walk through the stuff. Kind of walk through that game plan that me and the coaches would make.
Yeah.
So I think I've watched 2 of your fights, or maybe just the highlights. Facebook, because I think the first one, because it was you and David McRae were playing, or not playing, we're fighting 2 different people, but I think they put it on Facebook.
Yeah, well, they actually have it on fight.tv. It's like an app that you can download. Yeah, it's like for local pay-per-view cards. I think you can go back and look at all the fights for like $15 or something like per event or something like that. So,
but I think I saw 2 on Facebook, and one you were very wrestle heavy, and then the other one you were very kick heavy. And I don't know if that was part of your game plan or.
So for the first fight, my first fight, we didn't really know anything about the guy besides that he was just like older. So, I thought he would maybe have some grown man strength. So
Dad strength.
Yeah, that dad strength that everyone hopes to have.
One day have.
Yeah. So we went out there and I just kind of wanted to, make a statement. Really, I came out, hit him with a kick, and then he tried to dad rush me basically, and he just ran.
Touch my kid.
Yeah, he ran at me basically. So it turned into a wrestling match. It took him down and secured a submission.
Yeah. That was probably like the high school days where you're wrestling.
It's a big difference. That cage makes a huge difference when it comes to like wrestling and.
Why is that?
Well, in wrestling, you kind of have that open mat.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different to take people down, like if they're up against a wall or a cage.
That makes sense, yeah.
They can lean back into it and kind of use it to their advantage. So you kind of really have to work a lot of different technique stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Different moves. I guess it involves different moves when you get against the fence.
Right, yeah. A lot of lifting, a lot of just trying to, get them off balance, that type of thing, while hitting them in the face.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's very different to get just punched in the face while you're trying to wrestle him.
Right, yeah.
You said this is very different.
I'm pretty uneducated on MMA, but don't wrestlers tend to have the easiest transition?
They do. Just because with wrestling, you start to learn how to dominate and control other people. That's one of the main benefits with wrestling is, I can control if this fight starts on our feet or if I want it to go to the ground.
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference, especially at this local level.
Yeah. When,
there's a lot of guys that, they train kickboxing 2 or 3 times a week and then they fight on the weekend. They're not able to get that grappling in to help them,
Yeah.
So almost you could say if you had an opponent that was just a kickboxer or, was just a boxer, you could go in and just wrestle them and they would have a huge disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's where it's you as a fighter, you have to not necessarily pick your fights, but you have to know your advantages and disadvantages. You have to be more self-conscious and self-aware of what you're good at.
really good at this.
Yeah, hey, like I'm, my takedown defense sucks, but if they do take me down, my jiu-jitsu is really good. So do I really want to fight this wrestler? Do I really want to put myself in that position? At the local level, there's a lot of guys that like to cherry pick their fights, which is,
that's up to them, I guess.
It's
but
up to them.
You kind of, you might not want to say it's dirtier, but
it's not dirty. I mean, it's honestly smart. It really is at the end of the day, just because, to get to
they
that
know their
next
strength.
level, well, to get to that next level, you have to, have a decent record.
Yeah.
Like the UFC isn't going to look at me if I have a 1-5 record. Like they're not going to come running to me to, fight whoever. But, if I walk in and I have a decent record against decent guys, then, it's going to be a lot different.
Well, do you think it's more important to have a better record or to have one against specific people?
I think it's better to win against specific people.
Okay, so if you're like 5-5,
if you're 5-5, but your 5 wins is against
top guys,
the top level guys, then that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Most guys that are fighting the top level guys, though, they're not 5-5.
Yeah, what would their kind of record be? If you were just to give an estimate.
I see a lot of records. I see like 8-2, 7-3. Those are usually going to be those high level guys. There's not that many people that are just undefeated that are that haven't just been cherry picking their fights. Yeah. To be honest, there's a lot of people that are gonna run up their record so they can look good, but you look and they're fighting guys that are like 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. Yeah. They're just getting their promoters basically helping them out.
Well, I would guess your first couple fights, it's not really up to you as much. But once you start to get a name for yourself, you can say, well, I want to take on the next upper guy.
Yeah, which I mean, you can always call someone out in the world we live in. You can go to Facebook. I can go to Facebook right now and call out 3 or 4 people, and I could have a fight ready for this weekend. If I did that, but it's not necessarily.
It might be in the streets, but
no. I mean, they have an event. Rage in the Cage has an event this weekend. Sugar Creek Casino. I could have a fight this weekend if I did that. It's just you're not. It's not always the best, smartest.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, obviously, you want to do what's best for you.
At the end of the day, this is a sport. Mm-hmm. This is technically a business for people. Yeah. And you kind of have to play the game.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd be wanting to call out people because then I'd look like a fool when I lose. I'm not a very good fighter anyway, so that's very interesting, the dynamic of it. Do very many people call each other out?
I see it all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they actually end up fighting?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, and there's a few guys that are fighting this weekend that, have been calling each other out for weeks. Huh. So.
Anyone ever call you out?
Luckily, I haven't really had anyone do that yet. Yeah. So, but.
Yeah, you get this win, and then people will be calling you out all the time. I bet.
I'm open to invitations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to call some? Like, obviously, you don't have to say, but.
No, I'm good.
Like, I'm not saying call somebody out now, but I'm saying, do you see yourself calling somebody out?
After this fight, I'm gonna be hoping gunning for that that belt. So
yeah.
So there might be a call out, there might not be. It all just kind of depends what happens.
I don't know how a call out goes, but I don't know if you say I want to fight you or you start cursing them out and say a little more professional than that, I guess.
It's a respect thing. At the end of the day, it's a sport. Same thing.
And there's still people.
Same. It'd be just like football.
We're gonna spank you next weekend,
something like that.
Texans or something. That's interesting. The whole dynamic is something I've never really even considered about the way you come up. I mean, the way you have to support yourself.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
The way you have to train.
Yeah, like why the hell would anyone want to do this?
Well, I don't know why you would want to fight somebody.
Right. Like why are there people wanting to do this?
Why would you get paid to punch people in the face? Hey, but there's advertisement to get to make sponsorships, and so I mean, if there's advertising, there's money to be made.
Yeah, money talks,
man. So this next fight, have you done a lot of prep on film on him?
Yeah, there's a few videos that are out that I've seen. He's very he's a Taekwondo fighter or karate. No.
Can you kind of explain Taekwondo a little bit?
Well, he's a karate guy.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah,
gonna try to break your legs.
He's gonna come out. He's gonna throw a lot of weird angled kicks. He's gonna be looking to punch. He looks like like an ex bodybuilder.
He looks jacked in the photos,
Yeah, he looks.
so.
He's pretty jacked.
I
But
think I saw that.
but
I think I showed it to you. I was like, Dylan is gonna kill this guy, but this guy's jacked.
he's very jacked. But that muscle doesn't really help in the cage. It doesn't. Muscle only helps you until you're getting hit in the face.
Well, I've been punched
Muscle
in the face.
only helps you prevent a fight in a bar.
Right. It helps
No
you live a little.
fight.
Yeah. If you get over that mental aspect, though, it's okay. He's a man. He's immortal.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
I've been punched in the face with a boxing glove before, and I'll tell you what, it was not fun. I got I got punched in the face, and I hit, and I was like, wow, that is not something I would enjoy.
How do you get used to that?
Just repetition.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Getting hit. Let's say you're a running back. You run through the line. You get hit a lot. Eventually, you just start getting used to it.
You don't just stand in the ring and let your sparring coach just punch you in the face.
I mean, back in the day, whenever I was 14, 15, yeah, my coach used to tie my hands behind my back. We used to have like a broom. He would take the broom handle or take the broom off, and we'd just be stuck with a stick. He would put a boxing glove on it and just tie it, and then he would just try to hit me with it. Yeah, he would just hold it here and just try to hit me with it.
It wasn't like you just standing there. You were supposed to dodge it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was supposed to, move, but you get hit a lot, but eventually it helps you get used to that.
Maybe that's why I only got punched once and I didn't like it. So.
And fighting's more mental than you think. It really is.
I believe it.
It's more mental than it is physical.
They say that about running, and I don't like running either. So.
I don't like to run either, man. I hear that.
What do you do to get a good fighting condition?
Well, Carl Campbell at National Fitness actually takes care of that for me.
Yeah.
We do a lot of explosion and power types of lifts. A lot of Olympic lifts to help with that explosiveness. A lot of power cleans, snatches, that type of thing. Really deep squats. Yeah. We do a lot of those.
Not necessarily like heavyweight, but like just practicing.
I'm not out here trying to lift 500 pounds. That's not gonna, it'd be cool. It looks great, but it doesn't really translate to the cage that well. But if I can lift, 250, 260 pounds,
like really fast,
like super fast and explosive, like 20 times, that's what's going to translate to the cage. That's what's going to help out a lot more than being able to lift 500 pounds one time.
Yep, that makes sense.
So.
That's the difference between a power lifter and I guess a fighter. Yeah. And I mean football. That a lot of the Coach Duran, from the back in the high school days, he was all about explosiveness.
Yeah. You have to lift like an athlete. You can't lift like a power lifter or a body lifter. You have to have those athletic lifts and just keep working them.
Yeah. Do you see yourself doing a lot of those similar lifts that we used to do freshman year?
Yeah, we do a lot of power cleans. My form's a lot better now. I can get the elbows through. So, power cleans, snatches, deadlifts, squats, a little bit of bench press every now and then, not too much.
You still want to be strong, but you don't want to be. But it's not as important as just explosiveness. Yeah, form and explosiveness. I had a coach always say, "Do it light, do it right."
Right. Yeah.
With the form, but it's.
I probably should have learned that lesson.
Keaton's still very weak, so. No, he lifts.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes. Hey, I lift 3 times a week, so.
Hey, I like it.
Got to work on my physique. Well, I try to. I keep it this way, not for myself, for everyone else.
Yeah. Keep it for the ladies. Right?
Yeah. They seem to not like it so much. That's the issue. Anyways, guys. So when this fight's over, how do you recover? You said
For me, man, I like food. I like to eat. After a fight, probably take a week off the diet and just enjoy a little bit. And then, I, depending on how the fight goes, I'm usually back in the gym that next morning or that next Monday.
next Monday. Okay,
Yeah.
So a week.
That following Monday.
So if you fought on Saturday.
If I fought on Saturday, I'm usually in the gym that following Monday.
Okay.
But, without a diet for the week. So
that Monday back is kind of rough.
Yeah, it depends on how the fight goes. My last fight, went out, got caught early, recovered, ended up winning. I messed my shoulder up a little bit after that fight, but took a little bit of time off, came back, and, now we're here.
How quick would you want to, what is too quick for you to fight in between matches? Obviously, like a week is probably too quick, but what was
like a solid 6 to 8 weeks to really, dial in everything. I think that's smart. Anyone else, the short notice fights, they're great. They sound cool. You get
I called them out and I beat them, but
yeah, like, hey, they needed a guy. I filled in on 2 weeks notice, but what?
It could hurt your record. It could hurt your not only your record, but it could hurt your body.
Yeah, I mean, it just all kind of depends. At the amateur level, there's not really a reason to do that because we're not getting paid. But whenever I turn pro within the next couple of years or so, those short notice fights, it depends on the payday. Tell me that.
Give me $5 more grand and I'll fight.
Yeah, I mean, I actually got asked like a month ago to fill in for Bellator on 2 weeks notice. It would have been my pro debut for Bellator. They were offering me like $2 grand, and it's just kind of, you have to be willing to take that risk. They wanted me to fight a guy that was a national champion wrestler.
Yeah.
It's hard to prepare for that, and it's really hard to prepare for that on 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to
Play it by ear, I guess.
play smart. You have to be smart about it, $2 grand's a decent amount of money, but what am I going to get after that fight?
Oh, yeah, if you lose, if you won, obviously, I'm sure.
It's risk reward, but you just have to look out for yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So
has anyone ever made it to the UFC from Oklahoma? Or?
Yeah. There's actually a few guys that have. I actually have a couple buddies that I train with that have been like on the Ultimate Fighter and everything. There's a few people that go over to Bellator.
Yeah.
Just because starting out, you get those sponsors, you can make a lot more money starting out. Since the UFC is like kind of tied in under Reebok right now, so it's just harder to make money.
Yeah.
I was gonna go back to the recovery thing. When you're pro, I guess you would say that the recovery time will be you could do a little less, because I know like some of those big guys, they don't fight. Yeah, but also they make a ton of money.
Yeah, well,
they can afford it.
Yeah, the upper echelon of like the UFC, Bellator, those guys are only fighting like 2 or 3 times a year because they don't have to do anything more than that. Usually, this last year I fought 3 times. Yeah, 3 times this last year.
So that means this will be your 3rd fight this year. This one, or I guess it's in January. So you've only had 2 this year.
2 this year,
and then 3 last.
January. Next year I'm hoping to have at least 3 or 4. That's the goal. Again, I'm 23, so I don't need to rush anything. I don't need to be fighting every other month. Every month or so. I can fight every other month. Take my time and just really grow as like a martial artist
and a brand.
Yeah, build my brand.
Yeah,
the Viking. It works. Yeah.
Do you have any merch?
No, well, I have T-shirts that I can get made, before every fight. I'll actually be selling them, hopefully for this next fight. So hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and give me your size, and I'll get them out to you.
Awesome.
So.
Question, like, not really related to, I guess, the fighting, it's more in general. So what would you say is if you were to go talk to a kid that was just interested in defending himself, what's the best martial art to learn?
For me, I would stick with either wrestling or jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Especially for like a street fight. Well, how many guys are they fighting? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if I'm fighting 2 or 3 guys, I don't really want to
standing up.
Yeah, I don't want to go to the ground because I'm just going to get stomped on. But, if I'm fighting, let's say Evan over here calls me out.
Yeah.
And, that I would probably take him down.
Yeah,
So a fair fight, you would take somebody down?
I mean, probably not. I like to see what other people are made of. I like to test their will. Since fighting's more mental to me, like, the physical aspect of it is, fun and all, but being able to outwill your opponent is kind of what's fun to me. Like, am I mentally stronger than you? That's why I like doing it personally, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can see how much work they put in the gym when nobody was watching.
Yeah.
And
you get it's fun to break people down almost like that, like in the cage,
Yeah. In front of other people.
Yeah, it's kind of like that martial art respect type of, not really respect, but that old martial art kind of code. Am I stronger than you? Am I physically better than you? Almost kind of like little anime reference like Vegeta and Goku. That kind of rivalry almost type of thing. That's kind of what I like. Part of the reason why I'm in the sport, and just kind of make it work.
Do you have any rivalries here? I mean, besides a one-on-one in the cage, is there any
I
fighter?
I have some guys that I like to train with that, I know eventually that I'm going to have to fight at the pro level, hopefully, because, I'd like to get paid, to fight my friends. If I'm going to do it, then make sure at least we both get paid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Okay, so I have 2 younger brothers who are tough to deal. They're tough to deal with for my parents, and so I've been suggesting maybe putting them in wrestling or jiu-jitsu, doing something disciplined.
Yeah.
But their argument to me is always, well, they're extremely hard to deal with right now. I don't want them to become like, I mean, the stereotypical fight. You are I've just met you, and you are not like a bad dude. I can tell.
A lot of the guys that do martial arts, they kind of develop this really high level of like discipline.
Yes.
Almost,
Yeah.
You're always willing to put in the work. You're always willing to, try to push yourself. For young kids, definitely would recommend like wrestling and jiu-jitsu, just to kind of, it helps them build that discipline.
Yeah.
And allows them to kind of shape their future.
Yeah.
Of course there's also all the negative influences of the world we live in today, but for the most part, most people that I meet, they're amazing people. They really are. And
as far as I can tell.
And then they like to hit each other in the face.
Yeah.
So
it's just like a fake stereotype. I'm trying to get my parents over.
Yeah.
Over that
man.
hump, because I feel like they need that discipline in their lives.
I would recommend it for everyone.
Well, I mean, you could even just a regular sport. I mean, the coaching aspect of like trying to learn and okay, guess what? You messed up. Okay, go run laps.
Having almost that authority figure that kind of helps.
Yeah.
What's that phrase?
Well, like in football, I mean, we had to run all the time, and it was authoritative. I mean, but it also helped us in the classroom because we messed up in the classroom. Guess what? We go out on the football field, we run.
I guess they just assume that kids who learn how to fight are going to be fighting in school, which I've never seen.
Dylan fought in school, so only a couple times.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I remember you fighting was in the locker room freshman year. I say fighting. You were breaking up a fight.
Was it?
With Taylor.
Oh man,
BT.
that was so long ago. Okay, yeah, I remember that.
I think they were fighting over a girlfriend or something.
I think so.
And then the guy, that was the hardest punch I've ever seen in my life. The guy was sitting on the ground, and he's like, hey, and just punches the dude. Like, the guy standing up punches the dude on the ground. And I was like, I'm going to die. Like, I'm not even in this fight, and I'm going to die. And then Dylan comes over and breaks it up, and I was like, that was good for you because I was in the corner. But then you also fought somebody in the cafeteria once. That's the only other one I remember. But
I got called out.
Oh, so you have been called out before.
You know, in that high school era, you have to, you know.
Well, everybody was.
You have to, you know, get made fun of. You know, you have to stand up for yourself.
Well, you did it. I mean, I'm pretty sure you beat the crap out of him.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I didn't know that you were a fighter, like a boxer then too. So.
Yeah, I was boxing then. It was actually a pretty funny story. I actually had boxed that guy.
Oh really?
Yeah, that's what that whole fight was about because he wanted a rematch.
And so you rematched him in the cafeteria.
Yeah, well he called me out and he threw the first punch, so I had no choice.
Yeah, you were defending yourself.
Yeah. I still had to do community service for it though.
Oh really?
Yeah, he threw the first punch and I had to do community service.
Well, that's what's kind of screwed up about the school system. One of the things that's screwed about the school system is like, okay, well, he punched me and I'm defending. Am I supposed to just get punched?
Right. I mean, that's what they told me. I was supposed to just get punched and walk away.
Wow.
Get made fun of by my peers for the rest of the.
No, and then you put him in his place, and then nobody else did it. So.
Yeah, no, I didn't get messed with the rest of the year.
Well, I wasn't gonna mess with you, that's for sure.
I like you too much.
We called each other on, not you and me, but we called each other. People called each other on the football field, and nothing became of it when people called me out because I just took it and said, "You can say whatever you want. I really don't care." But
people handled the business.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But Keaton, back to your brothers. I would say it's just a sport in general.
Yeah, any sport.
It doesn't have to be football. It doesn't have to be, because I mean, I don't. Your dad's a doctor, so.
Yeah, he's not.
He's probably not a good.
He played football, but he's not huge on football anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean the concussion stuff that's come out. That could be, you know.
Basketball's fun.
We play basketball, yeah.
Yeah, running sucks, man. It's a great motivator for when it comes to, you know, anyone. So
yeah.
Especially help building that discipline.
Yep.
You know, so
yeah,
kind of just works.
Yeah.
Anything else? You got all your questions answered? He was texting me like, "Oh, I have all these questions."
No way, man! I have all day.
Yeah, I think I.
So your fight is in January 18th.
January 18th, Heritage Hall in Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Well, we'll get our 40 viewers out there.
Hey, let's get it out
do
there.
it.
All right. Thank you so much, Dylan, for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. We'll definitely share the crap out of this. Get your name out there as much as possible.
Yeah, I'll share it too.
But thank you so much for coming on. This has been Simply Technical. Thanks for stopping by.